All right, here we go. Bobby Maximus live, coming to you live every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 12 p.m. in my time zone. Just get my camera set up. If you see me look away, it's because I got my laptop over here, just so I can answer any questions that you might have. Now, today we are going to talk about the fact that 3 days a week working out, that's what we've been taught to do, right? We've been taught that if we show up 3 days a week, and we've been led to believe, I'm almost going to say we've been gaslighted into believing that 3 days a week is enough. I'm going to talk to you about why that is not enough today. And something just happened with my stream. It restarted the counter, but we're going to start this thing all over again. This is live TV. This is what happens sometimes. But Bobby Maximus Live. I come to you live every single Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Same thing, right? Just depends what time zone you're in. So every Monday I'm coming to you live. I do a Q&A. I talk about a fitness topic that I want to talk about that I think can really, really help you. And here we are. If you see me looking over here, it's because my laptop's over here. But here's the deal. Today's topic, we're going to talk about why working out 3 days a week is not enough. Why exercising 3 days a week is just simply not enough. And we've been brainwashed, gaslit, like whatever term you want to use, to believe that if we show up to the gym 3 days a week, or if we do exercise or activity 3 days a week, we are absolutely killing it. But I'm going to show you today why that is absolutely 100% categorically false and a lie, and it's preventing you from reaching your fitness goals. A couple things as we get into this live. If you have any questions, and again, I'm looking at my laptop right here, I want your questions in the chat. These things work way better when you ask questions. And here's the deal. When it comes to fitness, there are no stupid questions, right? Like, if you have a question, it's because you want to get better and you have a chance to ask somebody who's an expert in the fitness industry, and frankly, someone that's going to give you real advice. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not trying to sell you anything right now. I'm not dropping all kinds of links. I just want to help. So if you have a question about fitness, I will give you the real answer. And here's the deal. It might not be the answer you want to hear or you're expecting, but it'll be the answer you need to hear. I will be 100% honest with you, and I don't think there's anybody better at that in the fitness industry than me. So get your questions in. Also, get your supers in and sign up for a subscription to my site, because it helps me make more live content for you. The more of these memberships I can sell, the more supers you give me, the more I can come on here and lend you my expertise. Now, when it comes to expertise, I think that's really, really important. We live in a world where everyone can be a fitness influencer. This is part of the problem. This is going to lead into our topic. Just got to drink my shake right now. This is part of the problem. Anyone can be a fitness influencer. You have these people that will come on the internet, they'll come on their social, and they say that 3 days a week is enough. They'll say, hey, if you just work out 2 to 3 days a week, you are absolutely killing it. But who's telling you that? Is it some 21-year-old guy or 21-year-old, girl that would look good doing nothing? Is it the person whose quote unquote metabolism hasn't kicked in yet? Is it a person, I'm going to say ever getting pregnant, because stuff certainly changes? Or like at my age, I'm 45 years old. As you get older, you just have to do more work. Like, stuff doesn't work the same. And credentials matter. Like, just because you look good doesn't mean you can give people advice on how to train, right? There is a genetic component. As much as we don't want to admit that, when you go to a doctor, what are the first forms that you fill out? Your family history. So if your 4 grandparents all had heart attacks, you're probably going to have a heart attack. If your 4 grandparents all had cancer, you're probably going to get cancer. It's just like the nature of the beast. If your dad was 6'3", 250 pounds, and your mom was 6 feet tall and 180 pounds, you're probably going to be a big, strong person when you're older, right? Or fat if it went that way. On the other hand, if your dad was 6 feet tall, 130 pounds, and your mom was 4'11" and 90 pounds, you're probably going to have a hard time putting on muscle. Like, there is a genetic component. There are these people that will tell you that you can only work out 2 or 3 times a week and they look great. Well, first of all, there's a couple of things. Number one, there's that genetic component. So maybe they can look good on 3 times a week, but that might not be you. You might have to do more work. But then second, and here's the reality. These people that come on the internet, they're like, hey, you can look great. You can live all your dreams on 2 to 3 times a week. They don't work out 2 to 3 times a week. When you see that girl with the perfect glutes, the perfect legs, the perfect shoulders, when you see that guy who's got those capped shoulders, big pecs, like just 6-pack right out of a movie, like superhero stuff, right? They ain't working out 3 times a week. Trust me. I've been around the game enough. I've seen enough actors transform themselves for movies. I've worked with a lot of actors. I've worked with a lot of professional athletes. These people are not working out 3 days a week. Their work ethic is through the roof. I promise you that. Case in point, the gym I used to work at, Jim Jones trained Henry Cavill for The Man of Steel, and Henry looks phenomenal in that. And one thing I'll honestly say about Henry is his work ethic is second to none. The guy works out hard and works out like a savage every single day. In fact, he spent Christmas at our gym in Salt Lake City, and he was working out every single day and working out hard. He didn't just get to be the Man of Steel by working out 2 or 3 times a week. The man really, really put in that work. So whatever you want to say, it's going to take effort, and there's no way around it. We got a couple of questions rolling in I want to answer. So RTNMK, hey, Bobby, keep up the good work. God bless you, man. I'm in a bit of a rut. Just had septoplasty nose job. Couldn't breathe properly, let alone work out. What's your advice to get going? And then high protein, low carb diet, as Lee Haney puts in, low carb is for fat boys. Do you agree? What's your take? So first things first, how long ago was your nose job and what was the medical advice? I'm actually curious about that, what they are telling you. So answer me that, and then I'll give you my opinion on stuff. And without breathing, like that can be an issue, but do they have a problem with your head being under pressure? Because that's the bigger thing I'm worried about. I'm not so worried about the breathing because you can always do like a couple of sets and reps. But my question is, are they worried about the pressure, like overly straining yourself? So answer me that, and then I'll continue on your questions. In terms of the high protein, low carb diet, here's the deal. I want people to have a higher protein diet. The recommendation for me is 1 gram of protein for pound of body weight daily. So if you're 130 pounds, you get 130 grams of protein. If you're 180 pounds, you get 180 grams of protein. You're 300 pounds, you get 300 grams of protein a day. Now, in the real world, some people talk about goal-oriented protein consumption. So if you're 275, but you want to be 225, you only need to eat 225 grams of protein. If you're 180 pounds and you want to be 225 pounds, you want to put on a bit of muscle, a lot of muscle actually at that point, then you got to eat 225 grams of protein. There's different numbers that people throw around, and I'm going to get my calculator here. There was a study done that I reference involving the Olympic Committee that says you need 1.3 to 1.7 grams per kilo of body weight. So if you're 220 pounds, that means you're 100 kilos. That means you need between 1.3, I don't even know why I grabbed the calculator for that, but 130 and 170 grams of protein just for life and to perform at a high level. So you might need lower than the gram per pound of body weight a day is what I'm saying. I wouldn't like freak out if you're not hitting the gram per pound, but we do want to hit close to that. Number 1, for muscular function, but number 2, RTNMK, we also want to do that for, I'm going to say, appetite suppression in a way, because it's pretty hard to eat your weight in protein. Like if you're having 200 grams, let's say you need 200 grams of protein a day, and sure, you may be able to function off 140 or 150. There might not be a difference, but to get that extra 50 grams of protein a day, you're not eating all the carbs, you're not eating all the fat. And protein is a relatively clean substance to eat. Like you're looking at eggs, you're looking at chicken, you're looking at meat, you're looking at fish, and that's completely non-processed food, provided you're eating it from good sources. Like I'm talking real meat. You're not eating chicken nuggets, if you know what I'm saying. But if you're filling up on that, and it is hard when you're eating a protein-forward diet because you're full all the time, so you're not eating a lot of this other stuff. So that's like just a base, not a template, but like the foundation of what we're talking about. So you want to have that higher protein diet, right? Now, when it comes to carbs and fat, I prefer personally to be on a lower carb diet because I like fattier choices. Like it's much more enjoyable for me to eat a ribeye steak versus a sirloin steak, to eat a ribeye steak versus a fillet. Like I like the fat in my meat. I love brisket. I like ribs. I like dark meat chicken. I'm not a fan of chicken breast. And so I want to have the higher fat choices because I find it easier. I also love guacamole, avocados, which are high in fat. I love bacon. I love sausage. I love whole eggs. And so for me, that tends to be easier. And I find for a lot of people that I train, that tends to be easier as well. They can pay attention a little less, if you will. But at the same time, there are people who do the low fat thing and they completely thrive on it, and they're on a higher carb diet. And that tends to be, honestly, probably a little better athletically too, because you have a little bit more energy. Like, there's pros and cons to these things, right? But what really, really matters when you get down to it is calories in and calories out. So if you were to take, 2,000 calorie diet, right? And one person was having 200 grams of protein a day, 2,000 calories, so that's 800 calories, because there's 4 grams of, there's 4 calories in a gram of protein. So that's 800 calories from the protein. And then they're going to have 200 grams of carbs, which still isn't a high carb diet, but it's higher. And then they're only to have 400 calories from fat. I think that would work as well as if they had a bunch of protein and a fat in the zero carb diet. Like, as long as the 2,000 calories are respected, I don't think one group would do better than the other. Maybe some people, though, would find it a little easier because they just like more carby choices, or they just like more fat choices. Let me know if that makes sense. Again, I don't know if there's an advantage to high carb versus low carb when it comes to just general training. Now, if you're into endurance training, if you're into performance training, like, obviously you don't want to go low carb because you're not going to have energy to train. But that's a whole nother matter for general diet. I don't know if it matters whether you're high or low carb. It's just as long as the calories are respected. So do what works better for you. Now, 2 weeks ago, you had an infection. You got antibiotics, so the bleeding stopped, started to breathe regularly again. Nose is still sore. I do have sleep apnea, though. Okay, so 2 weeks ago, you had it. You had an infection. It's cleared up now. Are you allowed to lift weights? Like, do they have an issue with the pressure it's going to put on your head? Because a couple of answers for that, right? If you are allowed to lift some heavy weights and there's not an issue with pressure, then obviously breathing's not an issue. You don't need to breathe for like 5 sets to do deadlifts, like, honestly, as opposed to like a really hard CrossFit workout, which might mess you up. That said, if pressure is an issue, and I imagine pressure would be an issue in 2 weeks, I would do moderate weights, and I would honestly do the 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 12, 4 sets of 15 type thing. So a couple workouts for you. And this is where some of the traditional bodybuilding stuff can start getting you back into it. For the next couple of weeks, I would alternate upper body and lower body. I would do upper body Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I would do lower body Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday. Sunday, I would go for a long walk or do something to, contribute to my cardiovascular base. For the upper body days, I really think that you warm up, do like 10 minutes just walking on an incline on a treadmill just to work that cardiovascular base a little bit. Then maybe pick an exercise like barbell bench press and do 3 sets of 10 reps at something that's not going to cause a huge strain, something like 60% of your 1 rep max, 50% of your 1 rep max. Then move on to a pull exercise. So kind of combine push and pull. Do like 3 sets of 10 of a lat pull down or seated cable row. Then move on to like an incline dumbbell bench. Again, 3 sets of 8 to 10 to 12 reps. Then do another pull exercise. So if you did lat pull downs, then do seated cable rows. And then maybe throw in something overhead. And then maybe an arm exercise, like a bicep exercise at the end. And then do 10 minutes of cardio and call it a day. Like, that would be a great day to get a little bit of work done. And then do the same thing with legs. On Tuesday, you could do some deadlifts, you could do some back squats. You're saying leaving reps in reserve. Yes, correct. Leave reps in reserve. I was in the middle of telling you about the leg day, but leg day, you're going to do the same thing. And then Wednesday, repeat the upper body day, but just use different exercises, or do the same upper body day and just up the exercises if you tolerated it really, really well. Any cardio that I would do low grade, low and slow LSD type cardio. Where you're just walking, where you're not breathing and huffing and puffing. You'd be shocked how well that can work. But you can also bookend that later. Like you said, you're 40 with 2 kids. So I don't know if you can be at the gym 3 hours a day, but take your kids for a 30-minute walk or a bike ride at night. And that's how you can back end your cardio. And I would follow that program for a couple of weeks to see how you feel. And then you'll have a good handle on where you're at, and then you can start to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And then I don't know if you're getting back into functional training or it's something you want to start, but at that point, after a couple of weeks, you could start some functional training. But yeah, I would leave some reps in reverse. So or not reverse, sorry, reserve. I certainly would do that because there's no sense popping sutures or putting pressure on your head that you don't need. So always, keep some stuff in reserve. And honestly, that's going to get you through the 2 weeks. And if you worked out every day like that, like it's funny, everyone wants to push their limits, right? Everyone wants to go to failure. Everyone wants to go beast mode, blah, 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 blah. But the biggest thing is just showing up. And if you showed up every single day of the week and just did that program and just lifted and then walked a lot, like at the end of the 2 weeks, you probably see some real genuine progress. Like I look at myself, I consider myself an elite athlete. I got world championships for jiu-jitsu coming up. I train all the time. I make my living from fitness. And if I did that program for the next few weeks, I still think I would make some progress. So that's going to be the big thing. And that actually leads perfectly into what I want to talk about. Just about how 3 days a week isn't enough. If you can do that type of volume, it's really going to work for you. And that you should be perfect in RT and MK, no problem. Just make sure you show up and just do some work and don't strain yourself too much. The key here is going to be volume, and volume is always more important than intensity as far as I'm concerned. Ivan Alvarez, did you do 5x3 deadlifts, box jumps today? I actually did not. I did some bodyweight squats, some bodyweight lunges. I did some marching on something called the Athlete Training Platform from Westside Barbell, really good for the hips, really good for the knees. And then I worked up to a heavy reverse lunge, and then I did 3 sets of 3 reverse lunges at 245 pounds. And then I bounced. It was a little bit low on the volume today, but I am in the middle of training Worlds for Jiu-Jitsu. So here's kind of what happens during the year for me. When I'm doing Jiu-Jitsu during the year, it's usually like 2 to 3 times a week. And my gym intensity, my gym volume is a little higher because I focus on that. And then before Worlds, like the 6 weeks before Worlds, we'll call it 5 weeks before Worlds, I up my jiu-jitsu. So instead of doing jiu-jitsu 3 days a week, I'm doing it like 6 days a week. And then my gym volume goes a little bit down. So like, kind of how that works, to give you a real example, maybe 4 months ago, if it was a reverse lunge workout, I would have done 10 sets of 2, 10 sets of 3. I would have done jumps in between. I would have done some accessory stuff at the end. But right now I'm just hitting the heavy lift and then I'm gone to put the energy into jiu-jitsu, if that makes sense. Now, back to the script. We were talking about 3 days a week isn't enough. And I'm telling you, RT and MK, this is important for you to listen to, that volume's more important than intensity. Here's the deal. And I say this, like if you only show up 3 days a week, your work ethic is trash. That's kind of a hooky statement to get people fired up and to trigger people. But here's the reality. And we're going to do this on a calculator. There's 7 days in a week, right? 7 opportunities to get better. Now, there's 52 weeks in a year, so that works out to 365 days. Let's say you only work out 3 days a week. That's what you do because that's what the internet's told you. If you work out 3 days a week, you're going to be killing it. So what's 3 divided by 7? There's 7 potential opportunities to train. You only train 3. 3 divided by 7 times 100. That means you showed up 42.8% of the time. So just as like a philosophy there, right? My first question is, in what industry and what job and what area of your life is 42% good? Like if your partner rated you on a scale of 0 to 100 on how you were as a partner, you got a 42%, you wouldn't be happy. If your boss, like RT and MK, what do you do for work? Like if your boss did a performance review and said, yeah, you're about a 42% employee, like that's the best you do, you would not be happy. If your kids came to you, because as a dad, I can get this, hey dad, I did my best in science, I got 42%. It's not really good. Now here's the scary thing with doing that 3 days a week. You're going to hit 42% for the whole year, but things are going to happen. Like even if you show up 3 days a week, there's going to be weeks you get sick, so you're going to lose some days. There's going to be holidays. There's going to be times you can't train because stuff happens, right? Your kids get sick, something bad happens, blah, 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 blah. So you probably, if you're intending to go 3 days a week and then there are weeks you drop days, well, you're not going to end up at 42% for the year. You're going to end up way worse. And let's see how that looks, right? So if you go 3 days a week times 52 weeks a year, that's 156 days out of 365. There's your 42.8%. And that might seem really good. But let's say you get sick 2 weeks a year and you miss 6 days. So now it's 156 minus 6. And then you miss, I'm going to say 7 days for Christmas. Probably not 7 days, you miss a whole week, which is another 3 workouts at Christmas. You miss 3 workouts at Thanksgiving. You miss 20 random workouts throughout the year for life, for whatever. Well, now you're down to 124 days out of 365. Well, you're not at 42% anymore. You're at 33%, not 130. You're at 33%. You're definitely not going to make progress in that. So my big thing is volume. You got to show up more than 3 days a week. And while I do want you to try to show up for yourself 7 days a week, 6 is better than 5. 5's better than 4. 4's better than 3. 3's better than 2. And stack days, well, you feel good. So RTNMK, if you're feeling really, really good this week, go every day, because there might be a week where you can only go twice, but at least then you have some in the bank. And by the end of the year, if you can show up 300 or 365 days, you're going to make a lot of progress. If you're only half that at 150, and that's what 3 days a week looks like, you're just not going to make a lot of progress. Miguel Da Silva, thank you for stopping by, longtime fan. Hello, Bobby. Happy to catch one of your lives. Dropping to say hello and to congratulate you on the latest content is amazing. For production to exercise demonstration, fantastic work. Great job. Thank you so much. I love hearing that. That means a lot. You know, I put a lot of effort into this stuff. I got a video guy, I got an editor, I got a manager. You know, we come up with good topics for people. I film the video and I'm really critical. Sometimes I'm like, do people want to watch this? Is it good? Is it not good? So to hear that, that means the world to me, to get my hard work rewarded like that with a compliment. So thank you very much. RTNMK, I'm an information security consultant, make a decent wage, good parent, God-fearing, good. And you are saying, I was thinking of every day, 1 cardio day followed by a lifting session. On the cardio day, doing 1 or 2 lagging body part exercises. Yeah, that's totally works too. Like, listen, I can tell you to do weights every day, upper body, lower body, upper body, lower body, upper body. You could do full body cardio, full body cardio, full body cardio. You could do upper body cardio, lower body cardio, upper body cardio. You could do upper cardio, legs, cardio. You could do upper cardio, legs. Like, there's so many different permutations here. And here's where it gets complicated. And this is kind of the point that I'm trying to drive home, right? You can complicate this like crazy. There are all kinds of different workout splits that are effective. There are all different types of modalities that work. Like, I want to make fun of Pilates and yoga, and then I see some people that do Pilates and yoga that absolutely crush it. I want to make fun of, like, say, you know, I don't make fun of it because I actually love CrossFit, but like I could look at it and say, oh, CrossFit doesn't work. But then there's CrossFit athletes that are in phenomenal shape. I could say bodybuilding is not functional and bodybuilding doesn't work. And then a guy comes in to my jiu-jitsu school who has a bodybuilding background and absolutely crushes it. And so all these modalities work. The key thing to keep in mind is to just show up more often. And isn't that the case with life? Like, if you want to be a good piano player, you better be playing piano every day. You want to be a good at your job, you better be showing up to your job every single day. Like being an informational security consultant, I'm probably not going to get good at that doing it 15 minutes a week. Like, imagine how good you are at your job doing it 40 hours a week for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. Like, you forever have that skill. Do you think like Michael Phelps won all those Olympic medals because he swam 3 days a week? Like, no, he swam every single day for like 10 years straight, right? You look at these guys playing basketball in the Olympics. Like, you think LeBron James is good at basketball? You think anyone's good at basketball because they practice once a week? Like, no, you got to practice. You got to show up. And that's the reality. The gymnastics team, the American gymnastics team, was absolutely killed it this year. And congratulations to Simone Biles for absolutely crushing it again. She's overcome a lot. Really incredible to see, but like, she's doing her gymnastics stuff all the time. It's not a 3 day a week thing. And that's the deal. So if you're looking for the program, you're looking for the secret thing, you're looking for the secret sauce, you're looking for the secret, like what the kids call your workout split or your routine, the best routine, like you say, the best ability is availability. Show up every single day. If you can show up again 7 days a week is best. You don't have to crush weights 7 days a week, but you can work out or you can exercise 7 days a week. And what do I mean by workout or exercise? A walk could count. Doing your own landscaping could count. Doing some jujitsu could count. Playing with their kids at the trampoline park could count. So on days you feel really good, like lift your weights and crush it a little bit. And on days that you don't, just get some activity. But by the end of the year, you show up for yourself every single day. I don't care what workout split you follow or modality, you're going to be a lot more fit than having the perfect plan, but only showing up 3 days a week. Richard, is creatine good for anything other than putting on body weight or mass? I think it's actually best for putting on strength and developing power. The creatine systems in your body, I'm speaking in layman terms, the quicker they recharge, the more work you can do. And how I tell people how creatine really works, what it's really meant for, is your body can only put out so much on a strength or a power session in a day. And maybe you can only, manage 8 top end lifts in a day. With creatine, maybe it's 10. Maybe you can only handle 6 top end 40-yard sprints in a day. With creatine, maybe it's 8. So creatine helps you push the envelope a little bit there. I don't really look at it as like a thing for mass gain, although it can help with that. It can help with brain function, and it's super cheap. There's no real side effects, and there's very little downside to it. There's no downside to it, so I would certainly take it. All right. That's it for the live. Thank you for all the questions. Remember, get your supers in. Sign up for a membership. The more memberships I sell, the more supers you give me, the more content I can make. I try to keep these things under 30 minutes as to not inundate you. But, I start getting these supers and stuff, and you guys are really like in the comments and stuff like that. I will stay for longer. So thank you. Another great Monday. I really, really appreciate you. Tune in next Monday. I want these things to continue to build. Put it on your calendar. Get your notifications hit so when I go live, you are reminded. But again, every Monday, 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And thank you very much. I appreciate you.